The Renewable Independent Power Producer Program has become controversial politically because of costs, yet it is one of the country's most successful attractors of investment, raising 190 billion rand over 5 years. Public Enterprises Minister Pravin Gordhan says government will renegotiate contracts with companies that won the first 2 rounds of renewable energy procurement to alleviate pressure on Eskom and electricity tariffs. Well, Brenda Martin is the CEO of the South African Wind Energy Association. She joins us now via Skype. Brenda, good evening. Perhaps let me start with whether the independent power producers have been formally approached on the possible renegotiation of contracts. Have they?
Good evening, Devon. No, they have not. There have been conversations, as we are all aware, around how to address Eskom's financial crisis. And we are very keen to assist where we can, but there have not been any conversations formally or otherwise about a renegotiation of contracts.
As one would see it, this essentially would be asking investors to take a hit on the envisaged returns. Am I right?
That's right.
And that surely would put a span in the works in terms of investment.
Yes, it would signal quite clearly that one can't be certain. Lenders in particular would be particularly concerned around what kind of risks would they be taking on when they sign up to borrow the money that is required for these deals. So it would be quite a significant chain of concern around this.
Could a more viable option be that we offer IPPs a lower rate over a longer period? I mean, that could be one option.
I'm sure that there are many options that could be considered, but we are coming from a position that what is it that we are trying to achieve in this country? The program, the renewables program, has been set up to achieve energy security and to ensure that there is a clear pathway towards decarbonization in our power system. So for a renegotiation of those contracts to happen in the absence of consideration of all of those prior intentions would be a little bit like operating in a vacuum. So there's quite an important need to consider these things in context.
But the situation at the power utility, that's dire, and I suppose there is a realization with IPPs that something has to give. Do you see it that way?
Yes, of course, but the bottom line is that when it comes to Eskom's balance sheet, IPPs have no effect on Eskom's balance sheet. NERSA allows a pass-through on the tariff, so every bit of money that Eskom pays for IPP power, and that is on top of the fact that the IPPs have invested and made all the initial investment and taken on all the risk. All of the monies that are paid to IPPs are covered by the tariff. So there isn't a negative effect on Eskom's balance sheet. So addressing this is not going to address Eskom's very significant financial crisis. So we would say that we've got to look at where are the pressure points on Eskom's balance sheet. For instance, research around Kusile and the fact that if that project was stopped, what kind of effect would that have on Eskom's balance sheet? We don't see ourselves as part of the solution to Eskom's addressing Eskom's balance sheet problems.
Nevertheless, if it does happen that you are formally asked to sit at the table with recommendations, chiefly what would those recommendations be on your part?
Well, it would be important to ensure that there's a fair outcome for all parties. It would be important to signal to the market what kind of risks everyone would be exposed to, and that those kinds of risks are somehow covered by government reassurances. It's not a space in which you want to enter without certainty around what could happen should the government change. Should there be a new impact on another part of the economy? These are all the kinds of issues that would need to be discussed.
Well, thanks very much indeed. CEO of the South African Wind Energy Association, Brenda Martin, thanks indeed.